Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue en Pendu dans la Lune. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you have been here before, you probably know from my attempt at a French intro to this video that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille to explore topics or a question that comes from my larger Rider-Waite-Smith based reading for the week. So I've done a larger reading with Rider-Waite-Smith, and let's see, the title for this week's was based on healing, and I'll have the title down there and below, and also I'll put a card up here if you want to hop over to that video and watch that. But so I've pulled a question from that larger spread, and I've answered that question this week using this deck. This is Le Véritable Tarot de Marseille. It's I believe published in Canada. It's a conglomeration of different styles of Tarot de Marseille, a redrawing of them in one deck by Kris Hadar. And there will be a link below if you want to go and purchase this deck. It's very inexpensive. The cardstock is wonderful to shuffle. It's you can be rough with it and not worry about it because the price is low and it's a mass market deck and it's readily available. So if you've got the cash, you can buy it again easily. So this is a wonderful deck, and the colors are vibrant and strong and wonderful, which you'll see in just a moment. So this is what I used for this week's reading. And the question that I pulled from the larger spread was from one question in which two very interesting and very dissimilar cards showed up in answer to a question. The question was, what am I curious about? The question was, what am I curious about? And the two cards that appeared in answer to that question were the Fool and the Temperance card. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. Whoa. How are these two answering that same question? So the question I developed from that was, how can the Fool and Temperance cards coincide? How can the Fool and Temperance coincide? How do we fit them together? How do they intersect? What is the intersection? What is the coincidence of these two cards? Now, coincidence, oftentimes we think of, oh, something that suddenly happens. Not that meaning of coincidence. Coincidence, the things that happen together. How do they occupy the same space? And so, coincidence. I've got a definition here right in front of my eyes. To occupy the same place in space, the same point or period in time, or the same relative position. So how do these cards, which are so different, hold the same space in answer to the same question? That's what I wanted to know. And so I pulled three cards. I will show you those three cards in just a moment after I show you the question. So first the question, then the three cards, and then let's talk. Here we go. So these three cards were interesting. And wasn't it interesting, surprising, and wow, that the Temperance card showed up in reverse in this spread. So we've got the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Wands, the Temperance card reversed, and we have the Judgment card, Le Jugement, La Temperance. And so we start with the Seven of Wands. Again, it was really interesting and intriguing that the Temperance card and gratifying in a sense that the Temperance card showed up, especially in the center portion, but reversed was surprising to me. So, first card, Seven of Wands. To me, in Tarot de Marseille, the Seven of Wands means good leadership. Now, it's the Wands cards are also leader cards, right? And so, this is leading a community. Now, the sevens for me are bringing that energy out into the community, so good leadership. Also, inspiring action. It could be inspired, but it's taking that next step where your inspiration is the inspiration of others. Inspiring action. Could also be the inspiration of yourself, where you do something and it inspires you as well. Have you ever had an experience where you start doing something like you suddenly get that inspiration from something that you're doing? Has that ever happened to you? It's an astounding moment. And if you're open to it, allowing that to happen to you, it's a wonderful experience. But we also inspire others by living our lives. It's also the card of having more enthusiasm than usual and more openness. Now, the odd number cards are cracking things open. We crack open the stability. And the seven is an openness to potential, perhaps, from the outside. In a different way than the five, where it's more playful, this is just openness. Irresistible action, something that you cannot not do. Out into the community, and out in society, out with our groups of people. In irresistible action, I can't not do this. It's a card of creative blossomings as well, in service of ourselves and others. Remember, again, sevens, in service of other people. So, a creative blossoming that is a benefit for others as well. Passionate relationships, wands are also passion, that passionate energy. And talents. We got creative talents going as part of this card as well. So, the Seven of Wands is openness, breaking open, being out there with people, with our passions, with our creativity, being open to inspiring actions and to doing things that we cannot not do, that also benefit others. So it's not the Fool of just wandering off and going on an adventure, nor is it the Temperance card of balance, moderation. It's cracking open, but cracking open where we are, in our communities. And then we move right over to the reversed Temperance card. Now, I'll admit, I wanted to look this up as well. I got a sense of it already when I did the reading, but I also needed to go back to my books and start thinking about how to reimagine the Temperance card in reverse. So that helped me a lot. The Temperance card in reverse, we got the figure, the angelic figure holding two jars or two urns and fluid flowing from one to the other. We got the mixture of water and wine, perhaps. And for me, the first thought I had was, okay, so I want to resist moderation. I want to resist temperance. Really? Is that really what this is trying to say? So I got another idea. I have more ideas now. It could be reminding us that there's a dark side of temperance, excessive moderation. There's an excess of moderation which becomes stagnancy. So, coming from that Seven of Wands, we also want to be cautious of excessive moderation. We don't want to go too far to the Fool, but we don't want to go too far into moderation as well, because excessive moderation becomes stagnancy, right? The Temperance card in reverse is also going back and forth a little bit. Yeah, it's with the urns, right? Going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, not finding a line forward. Little progress can be made when you keep going between this and that and this and that and this and that. It can also be pushing others away. Yeah? Self-centeredness. Because everything is about me and my balance and my moderation, and everything's about me and this balance and what's happening here. And in reverse, that can be too much, where you push others away so that you can have your balance, you can have your moderation. So that's something we want to be careful of when we're trying to incorporate the temperance side of these two. We want to be cautious of that reversed dark side of the temperance card. So we begin that creative breaking open process, and we're careful of going too far into moderation, too far into lack of progress, too far inside. And then we move into the Judgment card, which for some people, I've heard some really negative things about this card, and I don't buy into that. At least not when it's upright. Yeah? For me, the Judgment card, Le Jugement, is the calling, the awakening. Again, we have irresistible desire. Yeah? That angel blaring the horn from above, it's irresistible. It's an irresistible call. It's a realization, which is an echo back to that Seven of Wands card. It's also honesty and reflection on who we are and where we've been, without getting, again, in the center with that Temperance card reverse, too self-centered. But we want to reflect on who we are and where we've been. But we also want to be open. Again, we have that reminder of openness in this card. Now, the figures, the graves have opened and the figures have risen up in response to this irresistible call. It's the emergence of something that has been buried. The awakening of consciousness and enlightenment. And perhaps that is what is there in the middle of the Fool and the Temperance card. Perhaps that breaking open and enlightenment is possible there in the middle. When we think of the Buddhist path, especially as taught by Siddhartha Gautama, which we point to as the beginning of modern day Buddhist traditions. There's not just one, there are different traditions. There's Tibetan Buddhism, there are many kinds of, there's Sun Buddhism, there are many kinds of Buddhism, right? But the essence of the Buddhist path, the first major decision of the first one that we point to as the beginning of modern day Buddhism, the decision was the middle path. And we've got a middle of a middle here. We've got a middle of moderation and adventure. There's a middle between that we can be curious about. And we can be curious about that and discover it and realize that it is that calling. Not just wandering off like a fool could sometimes wander off. But not the immobility of perhaps the temperance person, but the one that hears the call. The one that feels that this feeling is an irresistible call to an irresistible action. That Seven of Wands that is going to both help me and those around me. Because all of this universe is a co-creative action, right? Our currents of intention, our rivers of intention are interactive streams that join, merge, diverge, and return to each other and diverge again. They're interactive streams. And this universe is a co-creative universe, which is that Seven of Wands, a reminder from that Seven of Wands card. So how do they coincide? How does the Fool and Temperance coincide? They coincide here with the Seven of Wands and the Judgment card, and being careful not to go too far into the dark side of Temperance, which could be stagnation. Now, of course, there might have been a fourth card which might remind us not to go too far into the Fool side either. I mean, there's also that possibility. But that first card, the Seven of Wands, I think got us there already, that we're not going off on some random adventure. Yeah, this is an inspired card, inspiring action and an inspired action, irresistible action. We had that right from the beginning of the Seven of Wands, and we had that echoed in the Judgment card. And as we grow, the tendency for most of us is not to go off and be fools, but to become too temperate, I think. Do you agree? I'd love to hear from you. I think these cards answer the question beautifully. So friends, if you're still here and you thought this was interesting, hit the like button. I'd love to see that this has had some effect on you, and it also helps the channel a little bit. Hit that like button and hit the subscription bell as well and the alarm bell so that you get notifications of when I upload videos. I do at least 2 a week. And share this with somebody who you think might get benefit from it. You could put it on another platform. It's wonderful. Share around. And also comment below. I would truly love to hear from you. And friends, if you're interested in getting a private reading from me, there will be a link to my Instagram account below. Hit that link, go over to Instagram and send me a direct message and we'll get you set up with a reading. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.